Let's do Christopher in Arizona.
Okay.
Christopher.
Sorry, is that me, Christopher?
That's you.
Yes, that's you. What's
how's
up?
it going, guys?
Going
Cool.
good. Just
Hey,
chilling.
I'm a I'm a scientist, and I studied. I was actually atheist for an extremely long time, and still until I started getting more into philosophy. And basically, I ran into this problem in attempting to ground rationality or reason somewhere outside, for instance, in evolutionary biology, biochemistry, and obviously eventually physics and cosmology. And so I guess the fundamental problem that I ran into is what justification do you guys have to believe in your own beliefs if we are merely the products of a random event cosmologically, random genetic mutation? Yes, there are non-random selective processes there as well, but the evidence kind of suggests that the way that our brains work is not to represent or estimate or believe in any type of objective representation of the way that the world actually is, but most likely just in the most adaptive way possible instead. There's a cognitive neuroscientist at UC Irvine, Donald Hoffman.
Well, hey,
who makes
Christopher, I do want to posit to you that you've asked a question about 2 paragraphs ago.
I can leave it at that.
Yeah.
I can leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. Dan, you want to
Well,
go? I just want to always make sure when the question comes, if we then throw more and more on. Go
this
ahead.
kind of question is something that I think you and I, Jimmy, probably get asked pretty frequently about, like, how do we ground our own reasoning and things? And I think we've answered it like 100 different ways, or at least 100 different times. But like, I hate to answer your question with a question, but I don't know how religion solves that issue. Right. I think we recognize that, there's issues in the way that we can form our epistemologies. Right. But like, religion doesn't solve any of that. If anything, it adds an extra layer to what we do and don't know. Like, the way I approach the world, right, is I take some observations, I see if they match with other observations, and I see if I can make predictions based off those observations. Okay. I'm not making any definitive truth claims about the world, but I am saying I can predict that certain things can happen. That's like the basics of what I would call my worldview. Okay. I don't need any religious grounding for that to make any predictions. It turns out I just need to make those observations and I can make predictions based off them. Okay. And that's really it. That's that's the simplest way I can put that. To add a God belief, or to add that I need some sort of construct outside of myself to really make true, quote unquote, sense of the world, it's just extra. It doesn't really add anything new to my life. And it doesn't tell me anything new that I couldn't figure out through the methods I already have. And that's methodological naturalism right there. That's what I use to kind of figure out the world, but only because I haven't found anything else that can tell me anything better. I mean, have you, Jimmy?
Yeah. Well, and so the thing with adding the God to this problem is you haven't actually added a layer of like, oh, now we actually can trust we're not just brains in jars, or that we're not being finagled. But now I can find a collective of people, and my confidence can be boosted not from evidence, but the knowledge that a lot of other people believe this. It's not actually useful to that end. Kind of like it's really just the same thing as these people who are like, oh, I started believing because I realized, the watch in the sand or whatever, everything that is created or everything that exists must have a creator. And then you go with the like, oh, cool. So who created God? And they're like, well, God doesn't need to have a creator. And then you ask them to justify it, and they basically never can, or they come up with another ridiculous word problem. And the thing that I
understand all of that, but what I guess I'm more getting at is that you very likely hold materialist views of cosmology and evolution, which seem to directly undermine your own ability to believe in your own rational beliefs. So I'm just wondering how you
go
can
ahead and present me. Give me one of my beliefs. Give me one of the things I believe about evolution that would interfere with my belief in, or whatever example of of what you're describing.
I'd be curious to know too.
Okay. Can I ask one more follow up? Are you guys determinists, or do you believe in free will?
Well, wait, why does that matter? Because you said you know our beliefs.
Yeah,
So,
and even here, well, I'll answer the question.
Okay.
I have an answer of what I suspect to be the case based on my observation of other science. However, I'm not going to claim it as a fact or as knowledge, and I definitely don't go and debate that a deterministic universe must be what universe we have. However,
Yeah.
it seems to me likely that if you were to replicate the Big Bang in another place, which is, I understand, since space doesn't, I understand the concept of another place doesn't make any sense. But if you were to replicate the Big Bang exactly as it happened and then move forward the same amount of time, we're having this same pedantic conversation again. But anyway, go. Yeah. So what is? But what's an example of if instead of going in with determinism, why not go with biology?
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can go with biology. So there's a ton of evidence that suggests that basically that all of our cognitive processes, all of our mental representations, all of our beliefs, all of our perceptions, all of our social discourse or whatever are basically not representing the way that the world actually is, but they're just the most adaptive way, or they're competing with other adaptive ways of existing. And
Christopher, what is the biological belief I have? Because this is what you said. What is a belief about biology that I have that contradicts my worldview? That's what you said is the thing you could. I don't need any of these other things.
It would be that your brain isn't it did not evolve to hold true belief, but actually intentionally misrepresents the world in an adaptive way, which kind of undermines your reason for believing in any type of truth.
This reasoning, this is Alvin Plantinga's point, right? The Christian apologist Alvin Plantinga, who talks about, how the problem with evolution being that we may not necessarily be evolved to understand the world as true, but rather what's like evolutionarily advantageous for us, right? So that's kind of this criticism that he makes. So the response really is, that's a suggestion. And I don't there's just no real way to demonstrate that, right? Because we're stuck with the things that we have regardless.
Right.
And it's more of a philosophical quandary rather than, anything substantial that we can really look at. And even if that's true, again, there's just no way to really demonstrate it to be false or not. So that doesn't necessarily mean
there is. I mean, you can look across different species and see the way that they represent the world and see that
that's methodological naturalism, though. That's using our reasoning.
Yeah.
So
also,
we're stuck either way.
I love this appeal to essentially so like a Star Trek. Hang on, Christopher. Hang on. I love this philosophical objection because it reminds me so much of Spock tricking the computer, where it seems to me that even rationalizing that concept means you have to make an exception for yourself. And you're just going with the, I never lie, but I'm lying when I say that. Oh, cannot compute. This is just so confusing. And you're literally saying we're incapable of actually conceiving truth. We can only conceive adaptive truth.
That would only be the case if I held your beliefs about biology and cosmology that lack any telos. Okay. So I don't have that contradiction because I think that
because of your presuppositionalist garbage is what it is. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that oh my God, yes it is. You are beginning whatsoever. Yes, it is. It is 100% precept because you are beginning with an assertion as you're grounding the accepting of that assertion. You have not justified it. It is full on. And this is why I think I can guess, Christopher, that not only have you as a scientist looked into it, that you didn't just come away with now going like, so then I couldn't rationalize it, so now I'm a deist. Answer honestly, Christopher, are you a deist or do you accept an Abrahamic God?
It's not a presupposition. It's a fundamental axiom that I have found that we all assume. Like
it's a precept.
It's something that you can't not.
Are you
assume.
A Christian?
Yeah, but it's
Christopher.
Not in any sense that most 99% of Christians in America would agree with.
Right. You do realize you just said yes, though, right? You can just do
Sure.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Why should we believe in Christianity? Because honestly, I'm tired of the precept thing, and it absolutely is that. You disagree.
You acknowledge that you have other presuppositions.
Christopher, why should we believe in Christianity?
In order to even conduct science, you must have presuppositions about the world.
Do we not really hang up on people on Talk Heathen? Because I feel like this is like the 5th time that I've asked a question he won't answer. And I just, as soon as it was like, are you a Christian?
We could go ahead and let this call go.
No,
yeah, but
I'm just tired of it. It's literally just like, you aren't trying to engage in the conversation. You're trying to justify your precept.